Hi everyone, today I'll be interviewing Dr. Gurdeep. Dr. Gurdeep Singh Brar is a mobility specialist and chiropractor based out of Toronto, Canada. He is passionate about helping people of all ages reach their posture and movement goals. You can learn more by visiting www.infinitemotionhealth.com or following him on Instagram at Infinite Motion Health. Dr. Gurdeep, thanks for joining me today for our webinar. I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule.
No, thank you. I appreciate you having me on.
Oh, fantastic. I have a lot of questions I'd like to cover today on your chapter contribution to our project. And note to our listeners, if you haven't had a chance to read Dr. Gurdeep's chapter, Gravity, Our Oldest Enemy, I highly recommend you do so. Lots of great info that will be expanded on in today's webinar. Anytime you're ready, Doc, I'm ready to go.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So can you tell me, what is posture?
Well, it's good to start with what posture isn't. A lot of people think posture is just standing up straight or doing exercises that maybe will help you stand up straighter. The problem with that is that our muscles and our connective tissue, our nervous system is not wired like that. We can't just exercise our mid-back muscles and our neck and expect to be always walking around or standing straight. It's a lot more complicated than that. Posture, in terms of what I feel it is our bodies fight against gravity, right? Gravity is always coming down on us. We can't control that. That's just something that's a constant. So what we need to do is put ourselves in the best position possible to fight this fight against gravity so that over the long term, we're not suffering from these debilitating conditions like degenerative disc disease or problems with, collapsed vertebrae or disc herniations. These happen over time. This is not something aside from a traumatic event, which can cause a disc herniation or a fracture or a compression fracture. This happens over time. So we need to do our best to fight this fight against gravity by putting our bodies, our muscles, our connective tissue, everything that comes with it in the best position possible.
Well, it's fantastic information. And you basically covered my second question, which I was going to ask you, which was how does gravity affect our posture as we age? Is there any more information you'd like to add to what you basically just said?
Oh, yes, of course. So one thing that we need to consider is how our spine is kind of made naturally. We have natural curves in our spine, starting from the neck, the mid-back, the low back, and just below that. So these curves, it has a flow to it. This helps us fight gravity because it's stacked in a way that we're not going to fall forward or fall backward. These curves over time become exaggerated, especially with old age and especially with complicating factors such as compression fractures, degenerative joint disease, osteoporosis. All of these affect how our curves fight gravity. So as you age, that's one of the main concerns. We need to figure out how we can balance our tissues, make sure that our spine is strong, and make sure that we're not giving gravity, an unfair advantage against us while we're walking, standing, sitting. And the balance of muscle, fascia, and joints that leads to the path of least resistance is our best shot.
Mm-hmm. And you also mentioned in your chapter the body's pulley systems. Can you elaborate on this for us?
Oh, of course. So I like to consider pulley systems because I feel like it's a good example. It's something people can understand. The front of our body against the back of our body, the left side versus the right side, above and below, all of these do need to be in balance. I understand that no one is perfect, but the tissue in the front, so the muscles in the front, say, for example, the pecs, right? Mm-hmm. If these are constantly active, always tight, it does cause some change in the body because it causes us to roll forward. So our shoulders tend to roll forward with very tight pec muscles. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people say weak upper back muscles is the other side of the story. I think there's a lot more to it because when, say, for example, you're working out your bicep, you keep on working out your bicep, it gets larger, hypertrophies. Why doesn't our bicep just get stuck like this? If that's how muscles work, if that's how posture works, if we just strengthen our upper back, you would think that if those muscles are strong, it would pull us back like so, and it would just keep us there. But then how come when we work up our biceps, our arm doesn't just get stuck like this?
Interesting point.
Yeah, it's not how it works, right? So the muscles in the front have a balance with the muscles in the back.
Mm-hmm.
If everything in the front chain is very contracted, very tight, overused, that's going to cause some change in the back as well. It pulls us forward, right?
Yes.
So we need that balance. How does the body balance you coming forward like that? It bends you backwards. It puts a curve in your low back.
Mm.
Because our brain, our bodies, our nervous system are very advanced. We are very intelligent beings. So when our body and our brain knows that we're gonna kind of fall forward, it naturally puts a curve in the low back, so make sure we don't fall flat on our face, right? And then a consequence of that is that the neck usually juts forward to further balance the body.
Mm.
So you see this posture a lot, especially in the elderly. You see that the neck juts forward, there's a curve in the low back, and the shoulders are rolled forward.
Mm-hmm.
So now there's a lot more reasons why this happens in the elderly. For example, osteoporosis can cause compression fractures in the mid-back, in the thoracic spine. It's very common after the age of 60. And what happens is that when the compression fracture happens, it happens in the anterior part of the vertebrae usually. Okay, and that causes a wedge-shaped vertebrae. And when you have a few of those, it naturally curves your spine like this.
Mm-hmm.
So you see that posture quite a bit in the elderly, right? And then their head naturally goes forward because that's where the body's taking them, right? So this puts a lot of strain on the muscles of the back, of the abdomen, of the low back, and it causes further problems down the road as well. Not only with, say, the vertebrae, but within your soft tissue, right? You have more sprains and strains of the muscles and ligaments. You have a greater risk of imbalance, which can lead to a greater risk of falling. And we know that hip fractures in the elderly are a very, very big concern. Mm-hmm. And that's usually caused by a lack of mobility. It's caused by a lack of control of your joints.
Yes.
So, sorry, long story short, the pulley system needs to be in balance. So our muscles in the front of the chain should ideally be balanced with the muscles in the back of the chain to, again, give us the best case scenario for our fight against gravity.
I'm glad that you went into as much detail as you did, because I've encountered a lot of professionals out there that just try to simplify it and saying, well, stretch the pecs and strengthen the upper back. And that's certainly part of it, but I didn't realize it's the whole chain reaction. Just to almost to the bottom of your feet in a sense there, and how one link just kind of affects the next one.
Right. So it's not bad information to say stretch, strengthen. This is good stuff. It's just sometimes lost in translation. There's a deeper understanding required to actually sustain good posture, right?
Yes.
And it's a lifestyle choice, just like anything else. You make choices with your nutrition, right? With your exercise, with what you do with your time. This is a lifestyle choice. So sitting up straight, standing up straight, that's also a choice, but it's not enough. You have to, especially after, say, many years of bad posture, it takes many years to get back into good habits as well, right? So it's good advice to stretch, to sit up straight, stand up straight, strengthen, go to the gym, exercise, right? But it's not enough. People need to understand that you need to have a system in place, just like anything else, in order to slowly progress into the posture you want and the posture you want to keep long term.
Yes. And the majority of our listeners and viewers are 60 and upwards. And this actually leads me to my next question. So can bad posture be reversed after the age of 60, or are we just kind of stuck with the bad habits we've developed over the years?
No, of course it can. Just like, again, I don't want to repeat myself, but just like anything else, if you take some time and effort into building a system for yourself and you're consistent with it, anything is possible, right? So certain things such as structural changes that are permanent in the spine cannot be reversed, right? But almost everything else is under our control. How we walk, what we do with our exercise, what we do in terms of strengthening, stretching, all that stuff that's very simplistic is still under our control. We just have to make it into a system that we can follow and keep consistent. And then over time, even anyone over 60, so our viewers that are over 60, please understand that it's not a lost battle. You definitely can improve your posture. if not the visual side of it, how you feel about your posture, how your body feels, how much less pain you can have, right? So how much more mobile you can be. This is all part of posture as well.